The most persistent feeling in the human experience is that we are somehow strangers here. We walk through life feeling like tiny, isolated sparks of consciousness, trapped inside biological machines, looking out at a universe that feels vast, foreign, and indifferent. We draw a hard line in the sand. This is me, that is everything else. But what if that line is imaginary? What if the isolation you feel isn't a fundamental truth of reality, but simply a limit of your current perspective? And what if I told you that the feeling of being you is actually a very convincing optical illusion? We live our lives assuming we are separate entities. I am here, you are there. I am a tiny human moving through a vast and different universe. That is the story our senses tell us. But if you trace your history back far enough, past your parents, past the first humans, past the first single-celled organisms, you eventually reach the Big Bang. At that moment, everything that currently exists was contained in one single point. When the universe expanded, it didn't create stuff that was separate from it. The universe expanded into stars and elements. It also expanded into experience. One thing became everything. You are not a stranger here. You are the Earth. You are the recycled elements of dead stars. You are the universe peopling, just as the ocean waves. Imagine a whirlpool in a fast-moving river. If you look at the whirlpool, it seems to be a separate thing. It has a location, it has a shape, it has a center, it has a lifespan. It is born, it spins, and it dies. It seems to have an individual identity. But what happens if you try to take the whirlpool out of the river? If you scoop it up in a bucket, do you get the whirlpool? No, you just get water. The whirlpool was never a solid thing. It was a behavior of the river. It was the river flowing in a specific, localized spiral. You are a whirlpool. Your body, your brain, yourself is a localized, temporary tightening of the universal flow. You feel like a solid object, but you are actually an event. You are the universe flowing in the shape of a person. Now, okay, you might say, I get that I'm made of star stuff, but I have thoughts, I have feelings, I am aware. A rock isn't. I don't feel that I am the rock, and I am sure the rock or everyone else doesn't feel that they're me either. That makes us separate. This feeling of being separate is undeniably real to our senses. It has to be. Your eyes only see from one angle. Your skin only feels where you touch. Your biological hardware is designed to make you feel like a standalone unit so you can survive. But there is a difference between the hardware and the current running through it. While our bodies are separate containers, the awareness filling them is probably not. Think of it like sunlight shining into 100 different houses. The windows are separate, the rooms are separate, but the light illuminating them is the same exact source. When you look into someone else's eyes, you are seeing a different room, but the light, that fundamental sense of being, is the same light that is in you. We are distinct in form, but connected in source. But now, if you were made of the universe and you possessed awareness, then awareness isn't a fluke. It is a property of the universe itself. Because if we agree that we evolved from the universe and we agree that we possess awareness, then awareness must be potential inherent in the universe itself. You cannot get something from nothing. You cannot get blood from a stone. You cannot get a feeling from a universe that is 100% dead, numb matter. If you are capable of awareness, then awareness wasn't a magic trick that appeared out of nowhere. It was a dormant capability of the energy you were made of. Think of it like a seed. If you look at an acorn, you don't see an oak tree, but the oak tree is latent inside of it. It just needs the right conditions to unfold. In the same way, consciousness was always latent in the Big Bang. It's not something that was added to the universe later. It's something revealed by it, like heat revealed from fire or form revealed by clay. So what is the difference between you and a rock? It isn't that you have a soul and the rock doesn't. It's the complexity of the interaction. Even the tiniest reaction, energy responding to energy, is the universe recognizing a difference within itself. That recognition, however minimal, is the seed of awareness. A proton responding to an electron is the most primitive form of sensing. To interact is to sense. To sense is to be aware. The difference between you and an atom isn't that you have consciousness and the atom doesn't. It's that your structure is complex enough to amplify that sensing into a rich technicolor experience. And so the universe didn't evolve into consciousness, it evolved as consciousness, simply moving from the hum of a proton to the complexity of a human mind. Awareness is sometimes interpreted as a ghost in the machine. I'd say awareness is the machine experiencing itself. So, how does one single consciousness become billions of different people who all feel separate? We have a direct example that you experience every single night. The dream. When you dream, your mind creates an entire world. It creates a city, a plot, a hero, a villain. In the dream, the villain feels separate from you. They have their own voice, their own face, their own actions. You might even feel afraid of them. But when you wake up, you realize the truth. You were the hero. You were also the villain. You were the pavement you walked on. You were the monster chasing you. It was all you, a single mind pretending to be many. To experience the dream, you had to forget you were the dreamer. If you knew it was all you, there would be no surprise, no drama, nothing to be learned. Now, if your own tiny human mind has the power to split itself into multiple characters to create an experience, isn't it logical to assume the infinite mind of the universe can do the same? Perhaps we are the characters in the universe's dream. We look at each other and see other, but underneath the skin, peeling away at the awareness that we are. What if we are all the same dreamer? Now this is where the fear usually kicks in. The fear of losing yourself. If we are all one, do I matter? Am I just a drop in the ocean? No, because the ocean needs the drop to have a form. This tends to be a common misunderstanding that oneness means sameness. Think of a prism. When pure white light hits a prism, it refracts into a rainbow: red, blue, green, yellow. If you are the color red, you have a unique wavelength. You are distinct from blue. You are not blue, but you are both light. If red disappears, the rainbow is incomplete. Your individuality is not a mistake. It is a necessary refraction. The universe needs your specific perspective to experience itself fully. You are the universe looking at itself from a very specific coordinate. Without you, being exactly who you are, the universe is blind in your specific spot. It cannot feel what you feel or know what you know without you. You don't lose your identity in the whole. You realize that your identity is the necessary mechanism for the whole to exist. You are unique. You are an irreplaceable perspective through which the cosmos sees itself. But wait, if everything is one, what about evil? Is the murderer also me? And if so, do I have to love the murderer? This is actually the hardest pill to swallow, but I personally find it liberating. If you accept that you are the universe, you must accept the whole universe. The universe operates on polarity. Electricity needs a positive and a negative to charge the flow. Biology needs birth and death. Physics needs entropy, which is chaos, and agentropy, order. We humans judge these things. We call one side good and the other bad. But nature just sees them as the mechanics of existence. The negative is often just a friction of the universe evolving. That pain you feel, that is real. But in this framework, your pain isn't punishment. It's information. It is the universe experiencing the strain of expansion. We separate ourselves from the bad parts of reality. We build walls of judgment. But seeing the connection only means you gain neutrality. Think of it as a video game. When you see a wall in your path, do you hate the wall? Do you scream, "How dare this wall exist?" No, you accept the wall is part of the game's code. It is part of the structure. Because you don't waste energy hating the wall, you can calmly climb over it, go around it, or break it down. When you realize that bad things such as chaos, entropy, greed are just the darker shades of the same prism, you lose the fear. You lose that emotional trigger that freezes you. You stop judging the darkness as an error and you see it as terrain. And because you're neutral, you become powerful. You can stand against injustice without rage, but with balance. You don't fight fire with fire, you fight fire with water. You neutralize the negativity because you aren't attached to it, and so you don't become it. This brings us to what I think is the most practical shift of all. How does thinking from this perspective change how you live? It changes your life from fight to flow. If we are all expressions of one thing, then reality functions like a giant mirror. A mirror has no choice but to reflect what is in front of it. If you walk through life expecting conflict, carrying an internal weapon of defense, you are frowning at the mirror. The world, which is just you pushed out, has to reflect that aggression back. But when you realize the connection, you change your signal. Think of a tuning fork. If you strike a tuning fork in a room full of guitars, the matching string on every guitar will start to vibrate. They resonate. They didn't choose to, they simply responded to the frequency in the air. This is how you change your world. The world doesn't just respond to what you do, it responds to who you are. When you approach a difficult person without judgment, but with the tuning fork of calm and recognition, you change the probability of how they act. You pull the best out of them because you are the broadcasting of the frequency of calmness. Morality being a rule you follow, such as don't hurt people, instead becomes an intuition you feel. Why would I hurt a part of myself? Harming another stops being something you justify and instead becomes self-harm in disguise. This may sound selfish, but intuitively you will see others as part of the greater whole. And with that comes an innate respect and compassion that grows in you and easier access to peaceful coexistence with the world. So where does this leave us? Is all of this true? Is this the absolute, undeniable nature of reality? The truth is, nobody knows for sure. The materialist who believes we are all separate biological beings is just as right as the mystic who believes we're all one. These are just frames. They are lenses through which we view the world. But frames matter. One frame tends to lead to isolation and competition. The other leads to balance and connection. One frame makes morality a chore. The other makes it an instinct. The statement, "You are the universe experiencing itself," is one that is technically true, if one were to frame it that way. Carl Sagan, one of the greatest scientific skeptics of our time, well, passed away, rest in peace, for example, would say, "You are a way for the universe to know itself." Personally, I find this perspective to be more than just a philosophy. It is genuinely something anybody can experience. Thousands, if not millions of people at this point, through deep meditation, spontaneous Kundalini awakenings, or psychedelic experiences, have reported the same exact thing. When people speak of yogis or monks reaching enlightenment, this oneness is typically what is also reported. They enter states where the default mode network of the brain quiets down. This is the part of us that creates the ego. It filters reality. It keeps us focused on survival, on scarcity, on me versus you. It keeps the sense of identity we have consistent by filtering out what contradicts it. Now, when that filter drops, the walls dissolve. Many people don't quite hallucinate something new. They feel like they're accessing information that was always there but filtered out for survival. And then they experience the oneness we've been talking about to a degree that feels more real than the filtered reality they've been experiencing through their ego's lens this whole time. Without the ego filtering the world, you feel no separation from the world. More like the world is an extension of you and you of it. It is a very deep layer to awareness that anyone can experience for themselves. Now, whether this is absolute true for just a beautiful brain state is up for debate, but the effect it has in your life is undeniable. Even if it isn't, just the frame of oneness can do wonders for how you walk through the world, how you naturally begin to behave in balance. What if, let's say, you walk through your day today as if this were true? When someone succeeds, you don't feel envy. You realize that we won. You see their victory as another part of the whole expressing its potential, and you could celebrate it as if it were your own. When someone attacks you, you don't take it personally. You see it as a part of the whole that is in pain or confused. You stop reacting with defense and start responding with insight. And if they don't listen, if they stay angry, you let them go. You realize they are on their own individual path, working through their own friction. You don't force a flower to bloom by pulling on the petals. You simply root for them to find their light, even if you have to do it from a distance. You hold no grudges, because holding a grudge against them is just holding a grudge against a part of yourself that hasn't woken up yet. You stop trying to dominate the world and start collaborating with it, because you realize you are not an invader here. You are the environment. You are the movement of the whole, unfolding. And so, you don't have to become the universe. You already are. You just have to remember. Thanks for listening and playing with these ideas. I hope you enjoyed this and got at least something out of it. Much love and respect to all of y'all. Peace.